Okay, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're joining in. Thank you so much for this great opportunity. It's been amazing working on design thinking and working with peers, and also listening to other people's ideas on how to drive decarbonization. And for myself, this is what I've been able to come up with, like from the beginning of ENCLUDE Academy. So before I entered the ENCLUDE Academy, I kind of had a concept of what I wanted to do. And that's because of some of the problems that I'd already identified within my community. And based here in Nigeria, we had a specific challenge. Dr. Vanya, you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so this were the problems I had identified. So the first was the price, the cooking gas price hike, and that really like pushed businesses to go into dirty fuels because the gas prices sort of skyrocketed from what we had and got to about double of the price. And you could see that this is the picture of how many people had to be on queue to get cooking gas. And also on the left, you would see the huge food waste. So at a particular point in time in River State, we had this challenge where people were dumping their waste on the streets, and they were dumping it, just openly, and you could see lots of biodegradable materials that could be transformed to energy. And also on the right-hand side, you could see someone coming back from school, but had to stop by to fetch firewood. And you can see the kind of carbons that are emitted from the use of firewood. And during the time I was in the ENCLUDE Academy, there were other highlights that like drew my attention while I was trying to work on this design. And through our energy, the ENCLUDE Academy roadmap, I tried to like analyze like what's really happening. Why has there been like the increase in the price of the cooking gas, and sort of ideas like, okay, maybe it's due to the fact that the industry is monopolized, or is it because there are no other alternatives? So like currently in Nigeria, we are more based on the liquefied petroleum gas, and the other initiatives are, the dirty fuels, the use of firewoods, or the use of kerosene stoves. So, I just postulated that, and also kind of realized that during the flooding event, there was a flooding event that happened last year, particularly in October, and that also affected the price of firewood. So people who could just get into their farms and, this thing is also causing deforestation. People that usually get into their farms and get firewood could not access their farms because everywhere was flooded, and people had it, they had so much challenges to be able to access energy for cooking, heating, and cooling, just everything that had to do with energy users. And also there was the problem where a lot of women and girls had negative health effects. Dr. Vanya can go to the next slide. I think that's where it captures that, where the negative effect of using firewood. And you can see the last bullet point is that the World Health Organization 2021 records that 4 million people died prematurely from illness attributable to household air pollution for inefficient cooking practices. And from the trend of what is going on, you can see that people continue to use, this is the charts for the highest crude oil prices. And you see that there was a peak sometime in 2018, and then there is another one in 2022, and it's actually higher than what we've ever recorded. And this price hike, of course, that it would make people, the local women, the people who can't afford, they're just barely managing lives, it will be very costly for them to afford. And even though we have such price hikes, even though we have crude oil, Nigeria still has 60% of people without access to electricity, and a significant part of the community still does on dirty cooking fuels. And the analysis, this was what I had at the time I was making this presentation, but we people in Nigeria can attest that we have the prices higher than this already. The LPG gas is actually now higher than the 700 naira as compared to 250 naira as it were in last year. I mean in 2021, because everything started in 2022 and till now the prices have not stabilized. There is still inflation on the gas, the cooking gas prices. Please, the next slide. And that really like helped us to, so during the ideation process, identifying the bugs, what's happening, why are these women like going back to dirty fuels, even though we know that this the liquefied petroleum gas is actually costly, but going back to dirty fuels, it's not also good to their health, and then they're also contributing to the carbon emissions. And we kind of like tried to find out alternative solutions. So I thought I identified some solutions that we could work with. The first is the electric cook stoves. The next is the LPG, which is still the one that we already have. And then we have the concentrated solar cookers, and finally biogas. So looking at like managing the pros and cons, for the electric cook stoves, yes, it gives you like a faster cooking time, but then the con, it's like there's a lot of capital, it's capitally intensive, and it's a difficult technology for local women. I mean, like they get scared when they hear about anything that has associates with electricity. They do not, they need to, you need to like give them a lot of education to be able to use such methods, to be able to use such sophisticated technology. And then for the one that they are like trying to manage, which is the LPG gases, that's the liquefied petroleum gas technology, we find out that it's relatively affordable for urban settlers, like people that are in the medium class, but for those in the lower class, lower communities, it was still it was not affordable for them. Particularly, I went into the field and I asked some women in the market, especially those that had little kiosks, and they would always tell you that no, they cannot continue this way. If they do business with an expensive fuel, they will not be able to make profits. And the major con of this particular source of cooking gas is that it's subject
just
to
let
inflation.
you know you have 3 minutes left of your presentation.
Oh, so sorry. Sorry. And then the biogas seems to be like the cheapest and less complex technology. Please, the next slide. And then majorly, the only kind of challenge that I kind of experienced was like the feedstock, like the waste to produce energy. So we came up with also other mechanisms to be able to accelerate that. If we educate more women to tell them that your waste can be turned to energy, they can be open to collaborate with us. If we make the cooking gas, instead of installing biodigesters to all the households in Nigeria, why don't we produce the biogas and sell to them at like relatively smaller sizes? Next slide, please. And this was the prototype that I did last year. So for this, we had about 40 kg of waste, particularly cow dung, and we monitored it for 1 month, but we couldn't trace the amount of gas because we've not procured the technology to trace the amount of to actually measure the amount of cooking gas that we're able to generate from it. So we're also looking forward to like getting funding and also getting access to technologically adept bioenergy experts to be able to help us accelerate this idea to commercialization. So our business model is just this, and we also aim to give, because the challenge is cost, right? So our product is supposed to solve that challenge of cost, making it affordable, making it easy, and making it accessible. Please, the next slide. Yeah, I think the next slide, you can go to the next one. All of this is just talking about our values and everything. So we made a cost from the prototype. I did a little costing and also made a cost about my operating, what it will cost me to operate it. And then the revenue streams are all from this. So I think the next slide. Our next steps are to redesign the biodigester because we could not monitor the exact biogas amount that was produced. So exactly the next step is just to do that and also test the product again and then be able to monitor it, and then we'll put it into our research base. And what we need right now, financing, mentorship with biodigester experts, and then we also need to an opportunity to network with established biogas producing companies. So the next call of action, I think that's the next slide, is we are open to any kind of questions, any kind of collaboration, if it is volunteering, physically, financially, whatever sorts, we are open to that. All this, the company's email, my phone number, and you can also check us online. Thank you very much. So sorry.